How's it going, everybody? My name is LuckyBunz, and in today's video I'm going to be going over everything you need to know for the Pokemon World Championship event in Pokemon GO. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, this event is going to be taking place from August 16th to August 20th, 10 AM to 8 PM local time. The bonuses are going to be as follows. We're going to get 5 special trades per day, which is a super awesome bonus. Very excited about that one. And then we're also going to be able to TM frustration away on our Shadow Pokemon once again. I'm not going to lie, getting this bonus again is pretty abnormal, but I am happy to see it. I'm probably going to put together a separate video going over the best Pokemon to TM frustration on, since I didn't really have time during the Team Rocket takeover, but I totally have time to do that now. Anyways though, in order to actually TM frustration away on your Pokemon, you're going to need to actually have a decent amount of charge TMs available. So what is going to be the best way to get charge TMs in Pokemon GO? So there's going to be 2 methods. The first way is going to be from GBL, the Win 2 reward, and considering this is going to be a Go Battle Week event as well, this is a pretty good opportunity to get some charge TMs at the same time, kind of just passively grinding out the Stardust. Now the second way is going to be for Mega and 3-star raids, as charge TMs are going to be a guaranteed drop, so this is a really solid way to get some charge TMs in game. We'll talk about the legendary Pokemon that are going to be in rotation later on in this video. Next up, let's talk about the debut Pokemon that's going to be featured during this event, so that is going to be the 2024 World Championship Pikachu. This will be available in 1-star raids as well as from field research, so for any shiny hunters out there, that's going to be the best way you can actually get one. Now on top of the 2024 World Championship Pikachu, we're also going to get the debut of shiny Mienfoo. Now unfortunately, this Pokemon is going to be locked behind 1-star raids as well as field research, so pretty much the same as the 2024 World Championship Pikachu. Now on top of that, we're also going to have one more bonus where we're going to be able to get legacy movesets on certain Pokemon. Those Pokemon are going to be as follows. So from the wild only, you can get Lickitung with Body Slam and Mienfoo with High Jump Kick. And then you can also evolve the following Pokemon to get their exclusive Calm Day movesets. So we're going to have Wooper, which evolves into Quagsire to get Aqua Tail, Swablu, which evolves into Altaria to get Moonblast, Grubbin, which evolves into Charjabug to get Volt Switch, and then finally Fletchling, which evolves into Talonflame to get Incinerate. Now with that being said, I will be covering which of these Pokemon are worth focusing on later on in this video, so stay tuned for that. Next up, let's take a look at the wild encounters featured during this event. So we're going to have Mankey, Lickitung, Marill, Paldean Wooper, Swablu, Fletchling, Carbink, Grubbin, Marini, and then for the rare spawn, we're going to have Skarmory. And then from field research, we're going to have 2024 World Championship Pikachu, Swablu, Mienfoo, and Marini. Really not that many Pokemon featured in field research during this event, so I feel like the main focus is just Pikachu if you really want to go after that. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to go over the meta relevance for all these Pokemon later on in this video, and if it wasn't already obvious, most of these Pokemon are PvP centric. Now for newer or returning players watching this, I feel like it wouldn't hurt to go over how PvP IVs actually work in game. So basically you want to have low attack IVs and high defense and high stamina IVs. The reason for this is because this allows you to actually level up your Pokemon the most before it hits the CP limit for Great League and Ultra League. Now with that being said, there are going to be some Pokemon that are exceptions because their max CP does not reach that limit, in which case you would just want to get the best IV possible. So in that case, that would be the Hundo or 15-15-15. In this video, we are going to be mainly focused on 0-15-15 as a general IV spread to aim for, but if you do want to quickly pull up good PvP IVs for Great League and Ultra League, then use this search string on screen right now. You can also find this in the description down below as well. Next up, let's take a look at the legendary and mega raids that are going to be available in rotation right now. So we're going to have Thundurus in its incarnate form from August 12th to August 21st. While Thundurus in its incarnate form isn't really that good, Thundurus in its Therian form is actually ranked much better in the electric type meta. Now unfortunately, it is not amongst the big 3 electric type attackers in game, but it's still up there with its exclusive moveset Wild Bolt Storm. Very similar to Moltres during the past rotation, the main reason that I would be doing these raid battles is if you want to gather candy and extra large candy to power up the Therian version, not the incarnate form. Now as far as the mega evolution goes, we're going to have Mega Kangaskhan from August 12th to August 21st as well. It has been quite a bit of time since we actually had Mega Kangaskhan in raids, so for most of you guys out there, this is going to be a great time to actually add it to your Mega Pokedex. It's not really used for anything since it is going to be a normal type Pokemon, and even when it comes down to candy bonuses, like Mega Pidgeot has access to both flying and normal typings. So if you do actually have a Mega Pidgeot, Mega Kangaskhan probably isn't worth farming a bunch of energy on, but with that being said, Kangaskhan normally is a regional Pokemon from Australia, so if you do want to hunt down the shiny, this would be a pretty good opportunity to do that. Now before I actually recommend using your free passes on these legendary and mega raids, I also want to go over the shadow raids available during this event, considering that we can actually TM frustration off our Pokemon. Now even though these shadow raids are going to be PvP focused, most of the IV spreads you're going to be getting are probably not going to be used for the Great League or even the Ultra League. The reason for that is because the IV floor is going to be 6-6-6, but when it comes down to it, the lowest IV spread you could probably get in terms of being optimal would be like 6 6-15-15, which isn't really that great compared to just getting it in the wild, or sorry, from the rocket grunts. So with that being said, we are going to have Shadow Shiny variants, which some people might want to hunt, so that is definitely a possibility as well. Either way, let's go through the rotation right now, and then you guys can decide what you want to actually focus on. So in 1-star Shadow raids, we're going to have Shadow Magnemite, which evolves into Shadow Magnezone. This has relevance in the Great League and the Ultra League. We're going to have Shadow Dratini, which evolves into Shadow Dragonite. This has relevance in the Great League, the Ultra League, the Master League, and the Raid/Gym meta. So for Shadow Dratini, this one is definitely going to be a top pick because you definitely want to take advantage of that IV floor being 666, because you could potentially get a really good Shadow to use in the Master League or potentially even for the Raid/Gym meta. Next up, we're going to have Shadow Wooper, which evolves into Shadow Quagsire, which has relevance in the Great League and the Ultra League. Also, when you evolve Quagsire during this event, you're going to get the exclusive Calm Day moveset Aqua Tail, so that is pretty good. Now with that being said, I still wouldn't really recommend doing Shadow Wooper raids because you can find Shadow Wooper from regular Team Go Rocket Grunts currently, so there isn't really like a big incentive there. Now when it comes down to Shadow Quagsire in the Open Ultra League though, you ideally want to get the Hundo, not a typical PvP IV spread. I can't really imagine this Pokemon is too desirable for most players, given that it is going to be ranked within the top 200 in the Open Ultra League. And then finally, we're going to have Shadow Gligar available, which is again pretty relevant in the Open Great League, but from Shadow Raids, this isn't really something you want to focus on because again, the IV floor is going to be 666, so you wouldn't be able to get an optimal IV spread from doing these raid battles, but you could potentially get a Shadow Shiny. Now from 3-star Shadow Raids, we're going to have Shadow Wobbuffet, which is actually a really good Pokemon when you purify it. If you actually end up getting like potentially a Hundo, so if you get anything that's like 13-13 or higher in terms of your Shadow Wobbuffet IVs, purify that, and then that Pokemon is going to be super good to use in the Open Great League. For those who don't know, Wobbuffet doesn't actually reach the 1500 CP limit in Pokemon Go, so you would ideally want to have the best IVs possible opposed to a typical PvP IV spread. Not to mention, on top of that, the reason why you want to have a purified Wobbuffet is because its regular charge move pool is pretty lackluster, so the fact that Wobbuffet is going to get Return makes it a really good Pokemon to use on top of its other movesets available. Next up, we're going to have Shadow Curlia available in raids, which evolves into Shadow Gardevoir. This Pokemon has amazing relevance as a fairy type attacker in the Raid/Gym meta. And then finally, we're going to have Shadow Sableye, which is relevant in the Open Great League, but you actually want to purify this Pokemon as well. But from raid battles, I wouldn't really recommend doing this because you want to ideally get like a 0-15-15 IV spread, and then when you purify, it's going to go to 2-15-15. Like, that's the best purified Sableye you guys can get in Pokemon Go. But from raid battles, that would be literally, what, 6-15-15, and then if you purified 8-15-15, that's way too high. So keeping all that in mind, especially with IVs considered as well, the best Pokemon that I would probably focus on from these 1- and 3-star Shadow raids would be Shadow Dratini, and then probably Shadow Wobbuffet. Actually, Shadow Curlia as well is probably going to be a pretty good one to focus on, but if you guys want to go for the Shadow Shinies, Shadow Magnemite, Shadow Dratini, Shadow Gligar, and Shadow Sableye could all be potentially Shadow Shiny. Now on top of that, over the weekend, we're also going to have Shadow Suicune available in raids, so if you guys are able to gather enough players, you can definitely hunt down this Shadow Shiny. This isn't really meta relevant for anything though, so if you guys don't feel like putting in that effort, that's totally fine. You're not really missing out on too much. Shadow raids are definitely a lot more difficult in general because these are going to be in-person raids only, and on top of that, they do have the whole like mechanic of the purified gems, which is just super annoying. So I do hope that Niantic does rework some of these raids in the future at some point. Like, I think the 1-star Shadow raids are fine, but like the 3-star and 5-star raids can be kind of difficult if you're just going to be doing this solo. Considering that our legendary option is going to be Thundurus Incarnate and our mega option is going to be Mega Kangaskhan, you're probably going to have some extra free passes to use throughout this event, so I would definitely prioritize at least one of the Shadow raids if you want to actually use those raid passes effectively. Next up, let's take a look at the paid timed research ticket for $5. So from this ticket, you're going to get 1 green raid pass, which is worth 100 coins. You're going to get 25,000 Stardust, and you're also going to get encounters with event-themed Pokemon, including Cresselia. Now this Cresselia, because it is going to be from timed research, is going to be at level 15, whereas normally when you catch it from raid battles, it's going to be at level 20. Now with that being said, for those who don't know, the only way to actually get Cresselia below 1500 CP is going to be from timed research. So I think for anybody who wants a Great League eligible Cresselia to use in this format, this will definitely be worth purchasing. Also, if one of your friends ends up getting this paid timed research as well, you can mirror trade your Cresselia for better PvP IVs potentially for the Open Great League. Other than that though, there isn't really that much value when it comes down to this ticket. Like $5 doesn't really add up in terms of premium items, so really you're just paying for Cresselia for the Open Great League, which given its ranking right now in the Open Great League, I do think this is definitely more of like a pay-to-win kind of Pokemon. I don't want to put any pressure on you guys either to get this ticket. Like, don't feel obligated to get this just to get a Great League eligible Cresselia. I mean, it is a pretty good Pokemon, I'm not gonna lie, so if you do get it, it is gonna be worth it. But at the same time, like, we do have other opportunities in the future where we're probably gonna get this again for free. Now, we are going to have some special boxes available in the web store, so we're gonna have 2 that are kind of expensive, but let me break them down. So we're going to have a TM Fanatic box for $10, which is going to give you 15 fast TMs and 20 charge TMs. And then we're going to have the TM Elite Master box for $20. This one is going to give you 2 Elite Fast TMs, 2 Elite Charge TMs, 6 Fast TMs, and 6 Charge TMs. Now the only box actually worth considering is the one for $20 where you actually get those Elite Fast TMs and Elite Charge TMs, but that price point is pretty steep. You can get these Elite TMs for free from GBL every single season, but you just gotta put in the work. If you don't want to go through all those battles though, I do understand you could just buy this instead and save yourself some time, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I have an excess amount of Elite Fast and Charge TMs available, so if you are smart about your decisions in game, you can get a lot of these exclusive movesets for free during certain events and save your Elite TMs for something really special. Now if you're not really sure which Pokemon are worthy of your Elite TMs, then check out my guide videos linked down below. Earlier this year I put together 3 different videos for Elite TMs, one for raid battles, one for Great League, and then one for Ultra League. I'm pretty confident you're gonna find something worthy of your consideration in those videos, so make sure to check them out. Next up, let's talk about the PokeStop XXL Showcases. So we're gonna have showcases featured during this event like normal. Now if I had to imagine which Pokemon are going to be featured during this event, I would guess that it would be Mienfoo since that is going to get the shiny debut. And then over the weekend, it's definitely going to be Beldum because we're going to have the Common Day Classic for that Pokemon. Now in terms of anything else, I'm not really sure, so if you guys have any more predictions, let me know in the comment section down below. So with that being said, I do highly recommend paying attention to these showcases if possible, because if you're able to place first or second, you can get some really good premium items, especially if you win multiple showcases. Now speaking of Beldum Common Day Classic, this 3-hour event is going to be taking place on August 18th from 2 to 5 p.m. local time. The bonuses are going to be as follows. We're going to get 3-hour lure modules and incense like normal. The special bonus is going to be 1/4 incubator distance. Now you will be able to evolve your Beldum into Metagross to get the exclusive moveset Meteor Mash. This move is extremely important for Metagross and Shadow Metagross, so if you want to be fully prepared for this amazing event, then make sure to check out my full tips and tricks video linked down below if you haven't already. Now finally, towards the end of this event, we're also going to have the Mankey Spotlight Hour on August 20th at 6 p.m. local time until 7 p.m. local time. The special bonus during the Spotlight Hour is going to be 2 times transfer candy as well, so a really solid bonus. I'll talk more about that in a second. Now when Mankey evolves into Annihilate, this Pokemon has meta relevance in every single Open League format for PvP, so this event is absolutely worth grinding if you guys want to add one of the top meta Pokemon to your lineups. Now in order to actually evolve Annihilate, you need to defeat 30 Ghost or Psychic type Pokemon in battle while having it as your buddy. The easiest way to do this is to battle a friend with like super low CP Pokemon. You're going to complete this super quick. Now of course the second best way is to just do GBL and slowly work your way through the battles. That's kind of the way I do it because I mean I'm going to do the battles anyway, so why not? Now in terms of the transfer candy bonus though, I would highly recommend creating a search tag, group together all of your rare Pokemon and extra legendary Pokemon leading up to this event, and then bonus points if you actually mirror trade them with somebody else beforehand. This way you can really maximize how much candy you're going to be getting. I have personally been saving up a ton of Pokemon for like weeks in anticipation for this event. Now if you're like me, you're most likely going to forget Spotlight Hour, so I would highly recommend setting 2 alarms, one for 6 p.m. and then again another one for 6:15 p.m. so you don't forget about this. Like this is going to be a really good Spotlight Hour not only for the transfer candy bonus but also for Annihilate. Now to be honest, I couldn't really figure out where to place this in the video, so I'm just going to talk about it right now. We're going to go over Go Battle Week. So this is going to be taking place from the same time window, August 16th to August 20th. We're going to be getting a free timed research which is focused on battling. The active league formats available at the time are going to be Great League, Ultra League, Master League, and then Catch Cup as well, which I think is a really good format. Now what exactly are the features for Go Battle Week? So first of all, you're going to get a maximum set increase from 5 to 20, which means you can do 100 battles per day, and you're also going to get 4 times Stardust from win rewards. So ideally at this point in the season, guys, you should be at rank 20 to maximize your gains. If you're not there, then I would highly recommend doing as many battles as possible leading up to this event to get to the highest rank, and then continue to work your way forward as we have this event. Again, we're going to have a total of 500 battles over the course of 5 days. You can definitely hit rank 20 during this event, and then just kind of farm Stardust after that. Now in my opinion, I feel like Niantic actually did a really good job with this part of the event because we have every single active league format available. So again, Great League, Ultra League, and Master League, which is great for all players. Like I like doing Master League and Great League the most, but you know, some players they probably like doing Ultra League as well. I mean, far and few in between, but some players do. Most players really like the Great League format though, so having 2 different cup rotations for the Catch Cup as well as the Open League format is fantastic. Now for the few players watching this that are actually that invested into PvP to push for Legend, this is going to be a really good opportunity. Like you're potentially going to have 500 battles over the next 5 days to actually go ahead and get this done, which is definitely more than enough to make the push to 3000 ELO if you're actually good. Now with that being said though, I feel like that is a very small minority of people actually watching this video. For those of you that are actually focused on mainly just the resources, then I'm going to talk about this strategy here. Now basically my top strategy for farming Stardust, if you guys have already made it to rank 20 or even ace rank, is to basically just go 1-4 on all of your sets. Like just win 1, lose 4, do that on every single set, so all 20 sets, guys. and you're going to get so much Stardust. Now if you guys are not at rank 20 though, you won't be able to get this much Stardust right away because the Stardust does scale as you get higher in the rankings, which is why I always recommend getting to rank 20 as soon as possible during these GBL seasons. Now with that out of the way, let's go over the best Pokemon to focus on during this event, from the wild, the research encounters, and pretty much everything in between. So let's talk about Mankey first, right, which evolves into Annihilate. So as I mentioned earlier with the Spotlight Hour, when evolved into Annihilate, this Pokemon is great for every single league format in PvP, Great League, Ultra League, and Master League. It's also one of the top ranked Pokemon in Great League and Ultra League, so if you actually end up getting a good IV spread, for example, during the Spotlight Hour or even just during the overall event, it's going to be a great Pokemon to invest into. Now if you do end up getting a good IV spread, don't forget to make it your buddy as well for the evolution into Annihilate, because you have to defeat 30 Ghost or Psychic type Pokemon in battle while having it as your buddy. Now it doesn't have to be in your Great League team, for example, it just has to be your buddy in order for it to actually count towards that evolution requirement. Next up, let's talk about Lickitung in the Great League. So this is one of the super XL Pokemon in the Great League format. I've spent the last few years collecting XL candy for this Pokemon, and during one of the events this past year, I was actually able to get my hands on a rank 1 IV spread for Lickitung. Now because Lickitung actually comes closer to 1500 CP when maxing out, the optimal attack IV is higher than normal for this IV spread. So you're going to ideally want an 8, 14, 15 as the rank 1. This event is going to be primed to focus on this Pokemon because catching it in the wild is also going to come with the Legacy moveset Body Slam, so you won't have to use an Elite Charge TM unlike myself who has the rank 1 but no Body Slam on their Lickitung. Take advantage of it during this event. Honestly, it's going to be totally worth it to get Lickitung. It's a super XL Pokemon. There's only like a handful of these Pokemon in game. I've actually thought about making a separate video going over these Pokemon, but PvP is always such a niche topic on this channel, so I don't feel like a lot of players are actually that interested. Speaking of another super XL Pokemon, we also have Meryl, which evolves into Azumarill for the Open Great League. So Azumarill has been one of the best Pokemon to use for PvP since the launch of GBL many years ago. This will be another great Pokemon to hunt down both for IVs and extra large candy in order to actually build it. Now, for those of you guys who built Azumarill in the early days, you probably have to build a second Azumarill because we got the level 50 increase in Pokemon GO. Moving on, let's talk about Paldean Wooper next, which evolves into Clodsire. This has relevance in the Open Great League and Ultra League formats. Now, unlike Quagsire, Clodsire does not actually rely on its Legacy Comday moveset. Instead, it actually focuses on its other available movesets. Clodsire is ranked incredibly well in the Open Great League and it doesn't require any extra large candies, so definitely a good recommendation right here if you want to build it. Next up, let's talk about Swablu, which evolves into Altaria. This has relevance in the Great League and then the Open Ultra League as well, mainly just in the Great League though. Like the Open Ultra League, it's a little bit more debatable. It's kind of like a niche option. So this is another stable Pokemon for the Great League though. Like it does require 400 candy to evolve from Swablu, but Altaria has maintained quite good relevance over the years. Definitely a really good Pokemon to passively grind out during this event, and if you don't have that much candy for Swablu, Pineapple Berry every single Swablu you see, you're going to need that extra candy. Now once again, when it comes down to Altaria for the Ultra League, this Pokemon doesn't actually hit the 2500 CP limit, so you would ideally want to get the Hundo. Although when it comes to building it, it's a little bit too resource intensive in my opinion for its overall meta relevance, so I wouldn't really recommend it. Speaking of a Pokemon that I would recommend though for the Open Ultra League that has pretty much the same IVs, is going to be Talonflame, which evolves from Fletchling. So this Pokemon has relevance in the Great League and Ultra League formats, and Talonflame has proved to be one of the best Pokemon to not only use for PvP, but also for rocket battles. Now being able to evolve Talonflame during this event to get Incinerate is awesome. Like do not sleep on this Pokemon whatsoever. It's seriously like one of the best options we have available right now. It is so good for both the Great League and Ultra League format. So very similar to Altaria, you want to focus on getting the Hundo for Talonflame instead of the typical PvP IV spread. So keeping that in mind, I would recommend mirror trading your Fletchling to increase your chances of getting a 98% IV or potentially even that Hundo. I ended up maxing out my 98% IV with 15 attack to level 50 at the time because that was the best IV spread I was able to get. Now I ended up getting the Hundo a few years later, which is kind of ironic, but I don't think it's actually worth building a second one, so I'm just sticking with my 98. When Talonflame used to be more popular, I ran into the mirror matchup quite a few times, and to be honest, like comparing the 98 to the Hundo, it didn't really make that much of a difference because my 98 had 15 attacks, so that was pretty much the most crucial point. The next Pokemon we're going to talk about is going to be Carbink, which has relevance in the Open Great League, so this is another Super XL Pokemon for the Open Great League format, and normally a very rare Pokemon in general. I'm actually still working on getting my extra large candy for this Pokemon along with a better IV spread. So it's currently ranked as the second best Pokemon to build for the Open Great League format right now, due to its typing and bulk. It's definitely one of my top recommendations to hunt during this event for sure. Next up, let's talk about Grebbin, which evolves into Charjabug for the Open Great League format. So Charjabug has actually proved to be an excellent Pokemon to use for the Open Great League. This is the second stage form of the Grubbin evolution line, which is not typical for meta relevance. Normally the final stage evolution is the meta relevant one. Either way though, Charjabug when fully powered up comes right around level 40, so you won't actually have to use extra large candy for this guy, which is kind of nice. Taking a look at our next Pokemon, we're going to have Mareanie, which evolves into Toxapex for the Open Great League. Toxapex is one of the most frustrating Pokemon to deal with in the Great League due to its typing being water and poison. It resists a ton of Pokemon though, and so for that reason, it's another great Pokemon to add to your team during this event. Similar to Charjabug, it's going to come in right around level 40 when powered up with the right IV spread, so you won't have to use XL Candy on this Pokemon. And then finally, our last Pokemon is going to be Skarmory, which has meta relevance in the Open Great League as well as the Open Ultra League. While this is a rare spawn during this event, it is currently one of the top Pokemon to build for both the Open Great League and Ultra League metas in PvP. On top of that, this Pokemon also benefits from a perma-boosted shiny rate of 1 out of 64, so you do have a very high chance of encountering the shiny if you do see one. So with that being said, that pretty much covers the meta relevance for all the wild Pokemon during this event. As always, if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments section down below, but now let's take a look at the best Mega Evolution you want to have active during this event for candy bonuses. So this one is kind of tricky, right? Because there are so many good Pokemon to focus on, but only some of them actually need the extra large candy. You can cover both the normal and flying type Pokemon by having Mega Pidgeot active. Lopunny would also cover normal and fighting type Pokemon as well, so you can grab extra large candy on Mankey if you're going to be farming that one too. There's also going to be many other type combos as well, depending on what you guys want to actually hunt, but the most common typing feature during this event is going to be normal, so you can cover a lot more bases by having one of these Pokemon active. And so if you are a newer player watching this and you don't have any Mega Pokemon to Mega Evolve, Mega Kangaskhan would actually be a great option to go with. I mean, normally I would say Mega Pidgeot, but I gotta consider that some players don't even have Mega Pidgeot right now, so that's the one I would focus on. But in general, guys, for any like veteran players watching this, whichever one you guys do have a Mega level 3, prioritize that one over the others for increased candy and extra large candy. Anyways, that's pretty much everything that I have for you guys in this video. If you guys do want to check out some more content, I recommend watching these two videos next. But before you go, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all real soon in the next one.